Our problem is to find a block of code, a block of pseudocode that corresponds to the structure of a while loop. As we have noted, the while loop is a pre-test loop. That is, the very first thing that we do in a while loop is test a condition, and depending upon the condition, we either exit the loop or we go into the loop to perform an iteration. So we need to have a block of code in which the first line checks a condition and exits or decides to perform the next iteration. So if we look at the sequence of lines that we initially had in the previous video to compute the square of a sequence of numbers, we have these lines. The first three lines show the code for reading and squaring the first number. The ones in red correspond to the second number. The ones in blue correspond to the third number, and so on. So if you look for a number, what we should do is look for a line of pseudocode which is a test to exit the loop, and that we can find is here. So if number is 0, stop, and the next occurrence of such a test is here. That is for the second number. So what we can see is that these three lines of code, these three lines of pseudocode shown by this block here, is what we see is that these three lines of code, as indicated here, should be the one that gets repeated. As you can see, these three lines get repeated here and get repeated here. In fact, we are mixing the code for the second number with the code for the first number, mixing the code for the third number with the code for the second number, etc. So for example, here these two lines in green are for the first number. The line here, read a number, in red is for the second number. The next two lines would be processing the second number, but the one that comes after that in blue is for the third number. So what we need are basically these three lines of code. If number is 0, stop, compute the square and print the square, and read a number. They should be the basis for a block that gets repeated. So what we see is that these three lines form the block that should be repeated, and this must come, this read a number here, this line must come before we enter the repeating block.